Hang on, shit.
Okay.
You're good.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the regular meeting 2 of the Board of Commissioners. It is April 9th, 2025 at 7:18 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. Secretary Savage, could you please do roll call?
Commissioner Tuckey.
Here.
Commissioner Zubek.
Here.
Commissioner Connolly.
Here.
Vice President Steele.
Here.
President Ellis.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We did not have an executive session prior to this meeting. We're up to item 6, visitors' requests and comments. If you have any comments, please come forward, state your name and address, as well as write them down, and then you may begin. Please try to keep comments to 3 minutes.
Oh, hi, thank you. Thank you. Zoe Loftus, 5631 Plainview Drive. Okay. I just wanted to let you know that I did go over to the golf course, and I did talk with management, and I did file a right to know. But with regard to the rezoning last week, I was told that they do definitely do over 55,000 rounds of golf per year, and that would make any golf course profitable. And according to the manager there, they drop between 400,000 up to 560 some odd annually into the coffers of Dauphin County General Authority. And the General Authority has been using the golf course for years to pay off bad investments that they incurred with other projects that they had, such as a building in Pittsburgh and Bedford Springs and other things. So I just wanted to make that clear, point. And when I do get a right to know, I will give you some exact numbers. Then also, I did do, I thought it was a little odd that Mr. Weiland was actually very jubilant about turning the golf course into a data center. And if you look on his LinkedIn, and he goes through all of his the things that he does with Salzman Hughes and et cetera, and his background and whatnot. And it says there at the end, when I'm not practicing law full time, I am active in developing data center and energy generation projects. So I just wanted to let people know here that he is also president of Gray Ledge. It's an investor in energy related capital projects. And he's regional vice president of PRISM, does some solar work. But it almost appears that if he does get any involvement with this, it could have been a conflict of interest that he was advising. And anybody who does broker this deal, if you figure it at $22 million, for the sale, whoever is brokering it could make $1 million and upward. So it is concerning that he was advising, and this is his other business. So, and you're welcome to have this.
Yeah, appreciate that. And to be clear, he was
Robert Eli?
No, Mr. Weiland. Scott Weiland was advising this board. He has nothing to do with the sale of the property that belongs to someone else.
Okay.
So he is an expert in a lot of things, and that's why we wanted him here.
Well, hopefully he doesn't make any money on this, because you took
On the
his
sale of
advice.
a property that's not his, or
On the development of this project.
we're not developing it. We only put
You're
guidelines.
rezoning it, and you went through the whole exercise of
Right.
rezoning it, so
Right.
it could be a data center. and you want to plow it under, so.
No, we don't want to do anything.
I just have a question for clarification. When you say you submitted the right to know, I'm assuming that's to the Dauphin County General
Yes,
Authority.
and I'm going to get the actual financials, and I'll be presenting those to you so that you can know firsthand the profitability of that property.
Understood.
And there are a lot of people that golf there, a lot of retired steel workers, people from this area. It's a diverse group. It's a lot of elderly Koreans, older, lower income retiree white men. And I don't know where these people are going to go. 55,000 rounds is a lot for the other golf courses to absorb. So I don't want to see that customer base, myself included, to be disenfranchised. Because if you look at any of the country clubs around here, you're looking at $18,000 just to join, and then around $1,000 a month to pay your fees and your food and club storage and all of that. People don't have that, such as my husband, on a fixed income. So data centers is disenfranchising a certain segment of the Swatara Township population. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other visitors' requests and comments at this time? Give it a second. Okay. Nobody's jumping up. We'll move on to item 7, motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. We're up to item 8, motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
I just want to, I'm not going to say well, I guess the name's on here, but we're losing a long-time employee that did a great job. I think we all got the resignation letter, both in our packets and personally. And, appreciate what he did. And I'm sure we'll be able to thank him personally before he's completely gone. But that's E on the retirement notice.
All right. Do we have anything further? And then I'll just say that on behalf of the entire board, we all wish him a very happy retirement. I know he'll be around for a while still, but just pass that along. Thank you. All right. I'm hearing no one else. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The consent agenda is approved. We're up to item 9, subdivision land development plans. Consideration of forwarding Saldo and zoning ordinance amendments to the County and Township Planning Commission for review and advertised public hearing for May 14th, 2025.
All right, thank you, Madam President. I wasn't going to go through the entire packet as this has been before you, I think, since at least November of last year. Long story short, Mr. Eline has been worked with the Planning Commission for probably over 6 months, mid-2024, going through things they are recommending be changed in the zoning ordinance and also the subdivision land development ordinance. One thing, when I was reviewing this packet and as I've been working with the municipality, I did want to note 2 things that I actually made changes here, which I'm recommending changes. So for section 11, how the Planning Commission had it and how Mr. Eline had it, it was 10 days that prior to a Planning Commission meeting that the final plats had to be submitted. I changed that to 15 in order to make it the same as the preliminary plat and the minor subdivision plats, so just make it consistent. And then one thing I did notice, there was a gentleman that called me a couple months ago and wanted to know what the process was for wireless communication facilities. And I found that there was conflict in the use table, in the zoning use table, and then compared to the use specific standards. One said it needed to be special exception. The other said it needed to be conditional use. So we fixed that. That's section 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 in your packet. It was just updating language, and we're recommending that be done by special exception, as the vast majority of your uses are done by special exception. So we are recommending that this be forwarded. Again, it's what the Planning Commission recommended, in addition to those 2 minor changes. The township and the county planning commission will review it in this month, the county will probably get comments back, but May, I believe it's 6th is the planning commission meeting, which they'll provide their recommendation. So unless you want me to get into, or have any questions or get a little deeper into this, I'll leave it at that.
All right. Does anyone have any questions or discussion at this time?
I do. This was, when this was, when it was decided that I would have this committee, which I believe is the first time I had this committee. This was something that was passed from the previous 22-23. If everybody remembers, one of the more public things that we didn't have information or ordinance for was chickens. So it started with chickens, and it went through. And then when I took over the committee in 24, a lot of the ideas and many of the things that we see before us tonight were passed from the end of 23 to 24. And Mr. Eline throughout the year was doing research on uses that we don't have up-to-date rules, regulations, policies, ordinances. And it was pretty comprehensive. So some of them were pulled out. The chickens were done individually, and it seemed to drag on. And we looked at other municipalities, including a neighboring one, to come up with what it would eventually go with. The next one is what we voted on last week, which were the data centers. That was also in this process. And I just want to point out that from the Planning Commission of October, I guess they met on the 4th. They talked about different uses in here, and then which led to a following outline of proposed changes, and this was happening throughout 24. Zach was not here for the beginning parts of this. He was hired after the Planning Commission meeting in December. So I'll read from December the outline of proposed changes. And the very first thing was to add data center, cryptocurrency mine, and then server farms was on a list. And that came up last week. The question was, where did it come from? So it clearly came from a year's plus work into 23, into 24 of the Planning Commission and Mr. Eline. And then, and this will be pretty brief and then I'll be done here. And then we ended up with Zach Golden, who shadowed Mr. Eline for an extended period of time because Robert Eline put in his resignation for December 31st. Zach, I think, started with us on 11th or 12th, the 12th of December. So they worked together, but then Mr. Eline ended up staying until, I think, January 31st. So if I have this right, this is the February Planning Commission, which would have been your first Planning Commission without Mr. Eline. Sure. And I'll just read. And this is from the minutes, and this is online. Mr. Golden provided a brief update regarding the Planning Commission recommended ordinance amendments for 2024 at their meeting on November 4th, 2024. The Planning Commission directed Mr. Eline to present the draft ordinance amendments, signs, data centers, short-term rentals, etc., and various amendments to the subdivision and land development ordinance to the Board of Commissioners. At the Board of Commissioners meeting on December 11th, 2024, Mr. Eline presented the recommended amendments and they forwarded them to the solicitor for review. The solicitor is wrapping up his review and we should see them in an ordinance form soon. And that's what we voted on last week. So I know from this board there were comments that no one asked for it. We have almost a year's worth of public documents that show somebody asked for it. And I apologize for not having that because I didn't know that would be a question. But there was no reflection whatsoever on Zach Golden for originating it, asking for it, looking for data centers. It had started before he was even hired, and he took, that along with what we're voting on tonight, which was a package of changes. It wasn't a specific change. And this is kind of the rest of it, I think. And then we're going to start the process again for, through this year into the next year. And we're just trying to keep ahead with rules and regulations that protect the township. These are not necessarily for the benefit of property owners, and they don't dictate whether somebody sells their property or not. And I think you're doing a great job coming in to what was really a 5-year plan for Robert. Started in 19, was going through 24. And he laid it out really well, and then you picked up on it. And I appreciate even tonight, you've made changes that, are more or less up to, the industry standards or government standards. So I just wanted to put that out there to clear up some of the things that were said that were extremely inaccurate. So thank you.
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
So just looking through this, are you able to provide exactly what the differences are from our current to this document, what we're actually changing?
I can come up with a red line version.
If you could do that, I'd appreciate it. And then also, I guess my question is, I wasn't questioning whether or not we were making changes to data centers. I was questioning who specifically requested the change. And were you able to tell us who specifically requested the change?
Well, we have the documents from Mr. Eline, so.
Okay, but who asked Mr. Eline, I guess is my question.
I don't know that it was necessarily an individual, and that's.
Okay.
It wasn't. This was part of Robert's process of just going through the ordinance and identifying areas that needed to be updated.
Okay, then I stand by my statement that it was not prompted by anyone. Thank you.
And just for clarification on that, I know something that had been spoken about for multiple years was by Robert during his reports was short-term rentals, and that's something that's being addressed in here, which again, you warned that other municipalities were adopting things, and we should establish something so that we don't get ourselves in a situation where we have issues. But I just had a question with regard to those changes. Did you use language from neighboring municipalities? Where did the recommendations that we're going to have, or the guidelines that we're going to have, where did they originate from?
It's my understanding that Robert used a variety of sources, such
Okay.
as the American Planning Association, Municipal League, and PSATs.
Okay,
And he looked at neighboring jurisdictions as well.
gotcha. So, and I'm assuming that's the case for most of it. I know that was,
Yes.
it was like an amalgamation for where we came up with the chicken ordinance. And
Right.
So, okay. Thank you.
I have one more question, one follow-up, Madam President. So just, I understand maybe Robert went through and he checked with other jurisdictions. If you wouldn't mind, I would also request that you as well, if you haven't already, check with neighboring jurisdictions, just to clarify that it's an apples to apples comparison. And because there were some instances in the past when we were discussing things where I think at one time we were using information from an area that has blight where we don't have as much as that particular area. So when you take an area that's facing a specific problem and then you're putting that definition into ours, sometimes you're creating a problem where there isn't one. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate, once again, just to ensure that it's an apples to apples comparison.
Sure.
Thank you.
And then again, just for the public, since it's going to be referred, I'm assuming this will be advertised publicly. The public will have the opportunity to review the proposed ordinance. We can get it on our website. And I'm assuming it'll be published in the newspaper with regard for the hearing.
Right. We'll
So-
get this on our website tomorrow. We also have to post it in the Patriot News 2 consecutive weeks. And if anyone wants to email me, I can send it over to them. Sure.
Sounds good.
And what's the process on making any suggested changes during that time?
Just send 'em.
I would recommend coming to the Planning Commission meeting, since it originated with the Planning Commission, just to get their input at that time.
Okay, so will we have everybody, including the audience, will the board, what I asked, will we have the side-by-side comparison prior to?
I'll probably get
That-
that done this week. That's not
Okay.
going to take a long time.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Do we have any other discussion at this time? And again, just for the public, we're referring this right now. This isn't something that's being enacted. All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
We need a motion, so.
Oh, just
Motion.
kidding. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. So item 9A is approved. We're up to item 10, reports. Treasurer's report.
I don't know what's happening on the screen,
Oh.
but I'm just going to read the figures and hopefully it will come up. I don't know. This is for the month ending March 31st, 2025. Total of all funds had a beginning balance of $24,620,368.33. We received $4,996,686.50. We dispersed $2,823,355.89 with an ending balance of $26,898,626.81.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or discussion at this time? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Treasurer Yarzinski. We're up to Solicitor's report. Solicitor Kokorizzi, do you have anything this evening?
I'll just mention the same comment for item number 12 about pending legal review for that OpenGov agreement. Otherwise, I have no other report this evening.
Thank you. All right, item C, the Fire Services and EMS report. Welcome, Chief Everson.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, members of the public. Present to you the March 2025 Swatara Fire Rescue Report. I responded to 123 calls for service, 13 fires, 25 medical emergencies, 7 hazardous conditions, 10 service calls, 22 good intent calls, and 17 false alarms. And we responded to 2 calls in Paxton Borough. We had 59 active responders and 4,225 staffing hours and completed 323 hours of training. All right. On average, we had 9.9 firefighters respond on each call, with an average response time from dispatch to arrival of 5 minutes and 13 seconds. We provided mutual aid 27 times and received mutual aid 17 times. I'd also like to note that in March, we had 5 firefighters that were injured. They were all minor injuries. I was on a mutual aid fire as we were assisting another department. 4 of them did not seek any medical treatment, and 1 went to get medical treatment after the fire, after we left the fire. You also, in your packets, you should have the end of the year report. Chief Stauffer and I were going to do ours together, but unfortunately, the flu had other plans for my family last month. Just real quick, I'd like to note, I think there's just some basic numbers in there, some pictures of things that we did throughout the year. But I think one of the most eye-opening stats is the total response in comparison by year. Just to put some things in perspective of how busy we are getting. On 2020, we responded to 1,093 calls. 2021, 1,150. 2022, 1,257. 2023, 1,350. And 2024, 1,538. So our firefighters are doing an excellent job, providing the service with that high demand. And Chief Stafford, I also got an email from Barry from Life Team, and they have a glitch in their computer system, and all their numbers were doubled. So he will be here next month to give this month and next month's report.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions at this time?
Yeah, I have a question. So I was at Giant the other day, and I had a resident from Rutherford ask me if there was an incident with one of our fire apparatus. Was there an incident? And can you tell me what happened? And
One of our fire trucks hit a guardrail.
okay, can I ask why we weren't informed?
I informed my chair.
Okay. Well, I think maybe if there's like an incident with actual apparatus, it might be good for the entire board to be informed. But then my other question is, what's the timeline on, is it out of service?
Yes.
And what's the timeline?
Don't know yet. We're waiting
Okay.
for the insurance company.
So you'll let us know when you know what the timeline is?
Sure.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to address that. I was notified right away, and the first thing I asked if it was still drivable. So the answer was yes. And at that point, basically, I oversee public safety, and we have, unfortunately, from time to time, a public safety vehicle is involved in a situation. And unless it's something major or it's not drivable, I don't think the board has been notified. And just to be clear, I think it was leaving a scene, possibly making a right up there in the construction. So I have that right at 82nd Street where the whole pattern is off. So it's a veteran firefighter of many years who probably came into the intersection that is changing on a regular basis and was just a little too far over to the right. And you are right that after, looking at it, there's a decent amount of damage, so we're waiting for the rest of the information.
Well, I appreciate that, Commissioner Connolly, and I'm not like laying blame or anything. As a matter of transparency, I'm just asking that if I'm out in the community, I shouldn't have to hear it from a resident who lives there in that community rather than, from our chief or from you even, that there was an incident and everybody is fine. It's good to know that. So I'm just asking for just the courtesy of knowing, because I think, we passed transparency software tonight and we're doing all of these things. It's not, I don't think, unreasonable to ask for some courtesy in knowing what's going on. And at the moment that it was determined that it wasn't drivable, or able to be used on an emergency scene, I think it could rise to the level of the commissioners on the board should know. So thank you.
Okay, and I'll just, as a courtesy, I will say, if you have any questions, you can call or ask me if somebody had a question like that, but I don't, what threshold would we be looking at? It left the scene and then we investigated it and it's got some issues.
I remember asking the chief, from time to time, drop an email, let the board know what's going on. A simple email letting everybody know that no one was injured, this is the issue, and we hope to get it back in service as soon as possible is not unreasonable. So,
Okay.
thank you.
I'd like to continue my comments. The rise of calls for everybody to see here. 1538, absolutely remarkable for our guys to cover that amount of response in the township. Unfortunately, there's more calls every year, and we saw it was going up so much per year that we would have expected 2024 to be a 1,400 year, but it jumped to a 1538. So my thanks to all of our responders, and the report that you have is absolutely incredible. I would ask that we be able to put the entire report online. I think we're going to plan to do that, and Facebook page to show people how great a job our fire department's doing and what they're up against with the number of incidents. To me, it's just, it's really, really off the chart. Staying at the 1,000 or the 1,100 for 5 years would be a heck of a lot of work for our firefighters, but seeing that rise dramatically and knowing that people are there every time. People are there every time we need them, and that we're providing mutual aid. And I love the pictures and the information that's provided, because many times people hear something, they heard something, someone told them something. This, like the police reports, are put together very well, and I think they give a clear picture of the level of public safety that we provide in this township. And I'm absolutely proud of everybody that's involved, and I want to thank you. And I'll say the same thing to the police department next. So I really appreciate it. I hear a tremendous amount of comments from our citizens, and it's evident that you're doing a great job. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah, go ahead. Commissioner Tuckey.
That's fine, you can sit. I'd just like to also say the same thing. I'd like to be informed if there's a piece of apparatus that's not being able to be used because of, for whatever reason, like an accident like that. It would be nice to know what's going on with our equipment that we and our residents pay for. So, thank you.
I don't want to be informed unless there's an injury or a major accident. And that involves the police department, highway, and the fire department, because as a commissioner, I believe that the managerial oversight that you have in your position, you're highly capable to ascertain when it rises to a level of notification for us. There's not everything that we're going to know all encompassing that's transpiring in this township. Swatara Township is a very busy township, from the police department, the highway, and the fire department. But Chief Iverson, I just want to thank you for the job that you've done. And the firefighters, 1538, I'd be interested to see one thing, if you could do it for me for next meeting. I don't know how far back the old software goes, but we do have some folks in the crowd here that have been in the fire service for a considerable amount of time, so they might be able to confirm also. But I think 20 years ago, we were only running about 550, maybe at best, 550 calls a year. And I mean, 20 years later to be at 1,500, I mean, that's huge. And that shows that through continuous volunteer service, there's been minimal failures, and anytime we fail to, scratch a call, there's a failure. We don't perform our mission, right? But we're getting better at performing that mission, and we have highly qualified firefighters. And with the addition of the part-timers to assist and aid the volunteers so they can get a break is only attributed to the higher call volume. I didn't get to go to the meeting, the fire service board meeting, the last meeting, but one thing I noticed is now you have the firefighters screaming out for help. A couple years ago, that was something that was never done. So I'll say what I said like the last meeting. You're going to get negativity. You're going to hear people say bad things. You're going to hear them try to tear you down. And this goes for all the employees as well. You continue the course and the trajectory that you're doing with the fire department, because you're progressive and it's showing, and your firefighters know it. So you continue what you're doing, continue to do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. And just, I believe we can go back to the late 90s in call volume. That's when I think Firehouse software started in 99. We can still access that.
Excellent. I think that'd be a good number to show not only the board, but the public, how our call volume has really increased. I mean, it's probably some people in the public that, like I said, they've been in the fire service for a long time. I don't think they ever thought, because I know I didn't, that we'd be at 1,500 calls a year as a volunteer fire service, or even a combination department with a small part-time force. Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome Superintendent Stouffer. We're going to up to the Police Department and Community Services report.
I'm going to do this for Brandon. He doesn't have to do it. Am I doing it right? You are one.
He took like 50 steps away from you today, didn't he?
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. I have the pleasure of presenting the Police Department report for the month of March, and also the Community Services report. Last month, we handled 1,329 calls in the township and 61 calls in the borough, for a total of 1,390 calls. Our Part 1 crimes, we had 1 robbery, 26 assaults, 3 burglaries, 34 larcenies, 1 motor vehicle theft, and 1 arson. And I learned today that we actually have a warrant of arrest for the robbery suspect, so we'll be putting that information up on the website tomorrow. Our Part 2 crimes, We had 1 forgery, 19 frauds, 7 vandalism calls, 1 weapons offense, 1 sex offense, 16 drug offenses, 16 DUIs, which is incredibly high for a month, 7 public drunkenness offenses, 16 for disorderly conduct, and 20 that fit into the all other crimes category for a grand total of 104 Part 2 crimes. On the second page, we had 68 total arrests, 16 DUI arrests, as I mentioned before, 103 traffic citations, 146 traffic warnings, 15 non-traffic citations, 14 parking violations, 24 foot patrols, and 5 school foot patrols. And under our trends section, if you look at that second to the last column on the right, we had year-to-date 242 Part 1 crimes, which is down from this time last year when we were at 280. We have 284 Part 2 crimes year-to-date and 3,626 calls for service year-to-date. And the complete breakdown of all of our calls for service will be posted in the lobby with this report as well as on the website. Are there any questions about that before I continue on? Okay. The community service report is lengthy as usual. It's a very busy division in the police department. There's one thing missing from that report, and I'll fix that with Corporal Pokrap tomorrow. As far as community service events for March, the first one we had was a Coffee with a Cop event on March 14th. That's the missing item. That was at Guras Spice House at 7200 Dairy Street. Commissioner Connolly and Commissioner Tuckey were both in attendance. We had a great time. They served up a delicious lunch out there, so I want to extend our thanks to Guras Spice House for being great hosts. On March 27th, Corporal Pokrap and Detective Seiler attended the PSECU's second annual Senior Fraud Forum. Detective Seiler served as one of the 5 panelists who spoke about ways to avoid becoming a victim of fraud and scams, as well as what to do when you do become a victim. On March 27th, the same date, Lieutenant Chateau and Corporal Corby assisted the Central Dauphin School District with 2 active shooter tabletop exercises, which took place at Lawton Elementary and Tri-Community Elementary Schools. The exercises were coordinated with the Central Dauphin School District Police Department and the Central Dauphin School District staff members. We got a lot of positive feedback from staff members and from the district. On March 4th, Corporal Bloss and his canine partner JT visited the Harrisburg Brethren in Christ Church, which operates a co-op homeschool program. Corporal Bloss met with students aged 4 to 8. He and JT presented an obedience demonstration for the children, and it wasn't about the children's obedience, it was about JT's obedience. Each kid was then provided with the opportunity to pet JT and get to know him a little bit better. On March 11th, Corporal Pokrap presented a lesson on the use of force in law enforcement to the criminal justice students at the Middletown Area High School. The criminal justice elective class consisted of students in grades 9 through 12, and at the conclusion of the presentation, students were able to ask questions about the career field of law enforcement. On March 30th, Corporal Pokrap presented a lesson on fingerprinting to the St. Catherine Library School Cub Scout pack. He provided the demonstration on how to lift latent prints from a crime scene, and then provided an opportunity for the kids to practice taking fingerprints using an ink pad. And at the same time, Officer Kieslowski was in attendance with Canine Soul. He talked to the kids about dogs in law enforcement, and each one of those kids got to pet Canine Soul at the end of that presentation. All the kids were given a cardboard cutout of one of our police vehicles, as well as a Swatara Township Police mini flashlight. We had 1 team lesson taught at Lawton Elementary School by Corporal Pokrap on cyberbullying. This lesson was taught to both of the 5th grade classes. We had 1 job shadow that took place last month. Isaiah Day came to our department on March 22nd. Intern Gavin Neal is continuing his internship with our department, and he will complete all of his required hours by the end of April. We had one DUI enforcement detail that took place during the month of March. Sergeant Moore and Officer Ritter participated in the St. Patrick's Day weekend DUI enforcement detail, which took place on March 15th. They had a total of 12 traffic stops, which resulted in 2 alcohol-related DUI arrests, 2 drug arrests, 2 citations being issued, and 8 warnings being given out to motorists. Our drug drop box is still in the police lobby for anyone who wants to get rid of expired and unused medications. Between the months of February and March, we collected just over 110 pounds of medication. It's quite a bit. Also in March, MICSAP officers Ryder and Margison conducted 22 level 1 inspections of heavy trucks, 1 level 2 inspection, and 5 level 3 inspections. They identified 42 violations and wrote 4 citations and issued 4 out-of-service violations. Officer Ryder also conducted 37 non-systematic enforcement details and assisted the patrol division 9 times. For our upcoming events, a week from this Friday, on April 18th, is our next Coffee with a Cop event. That is a breakfast meeting at 8:30 at the 40 and 8 Club on Chambers Hill Road. So I believe they're going to have some eggs and bacon and toast and typical breakfast food. And we're also going to have a drone demonstration on the property, which is a beautiful property, so it should be a lot of fun to see the drones out. Our resource fair for seniors is happening on April 23rd from 10 o'clock in the morning until 1 p.m. at the LCBC Church. The event this year features over 70 vendors who specialize in resources for senior citizens. The resource fair is free to attend and it's open to the general public. Senior citizens and caregivers are encouraged to attend the event. And 2 other things. On April 12th is the Easter egg hunt at Ivy Ridge Park. We'll have police officers in attendance for that event. And then on the 19th is the Earth Day cleanup event, and I'm sure Mr. Connolly is going to talk about that tonight, but I wanted to mention them from the podium as well.
Senior fair, I think is, you did say that? Yeah. Okay. One thing I was looking through I was in Florida mid-March, maybe, and I got a call that a helicopter was descending in the area of Steel High.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
I had no idea. So what was going on? And would you be
I'd love
able to
talk
explain
about that.
what went on there?
Sure. The Army National Guard comes out to the Steelton High Spire School District, I believe every year, as part of like a career day for the kids to talk about careers in the military. And this year they landed a Black Hawk helicopter at the property, which was pretty intense. I was out there to take pictures and, ooh and ah with all the kids that came out. It was a little chilly, and a lot of kids came out without their coats. So they were not having fun in the cold, but when the helicopter rolled in, I think everyone forgot how cold they were. But it was pretty cool. The police or the soldiers that showed up on the helicopter stayed around for a while talking with the kids, and I think it was the elementary age kids that actually got to go down to the helicopter and climb on board and take a little tour.
And this is more for the people watching that may be new residents to the township or don't live in that area. The entire Steelton High Spire School District property, schools, basically everything with the exception of their football field, but where the students are on a daily basis is located in and bordered by a residential neighborhood in Swatara Township.
That's right.
So they may have sent information home to Steelton and High Spire, but a lot of our residents would have no reason to know what was going on at the school.
Right.
And the first one, the first text I got, then call, then text. A lot of people, when they see a helicopter descending rapidly, they think that there's usually a problem or a reason for concern.
Right.
So Chief got back to me pretty quickly, and then I sent the information out, and I believe I even got a picture to show them what was going on. A lot of happy students, and a really neat thing to happen during your school day.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate the information. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
All right, we're up to our Public Works and Recreation report. Welcome, Manager Trafka.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening again, Commissioners. I'll quickly run over the Public Works and Parks and Rec monthly report for March. The announcement, Public Works, again, we continued our winter maintenance operation, which included a little bit of snow removal, but not much in the month of March, and road maintenance, and as always, the leaf composting. On that note, the compost facility opened last Tuesday, I believe, the 1st. The leaf mulch is gone. I received notification today that the last of that was cleaned up, and the gate is now locked. So unfortunately, there is no more for our residents to come and pick up till next year when we get through the 2024 leaves. So Public Works staff continued work at the compost facility, grinding up woody waste. Public Works made repairs to the equipment from our winter maintenance operation. We performed routine road maintenance, including potholes, patching, sign repairs, inlet tops, and various other duties. Staff did receive the new street sweeper on March 3rd, 2025. Public Works completed the stormwater repairs as discussed in the stormwater meeting at Pine Avenue and repaved that whole area. And we did respond to one tree down on March 1st. Parks and Recs Department, again, they continue the winter months doing various tasks, including roof repairs, tree trimming, trash, clean up in the parks. Park staff also dedicated much of their time preparing the baseball and softball fields for the upcoming seasons. I believe there is a few opening days coming this Saturday. Hopefully the weather, holds out and we have a nice opening day for all the Little League teams. Parks and Rec staff, they continue doing dugout repairs at Venata and Lanker Manor. And last but certainly not least, Parks and Rec staff pulled out and reinstalled all 4 basketball hoops up at Sioux Drive Park for the upcoming basketball season that I believe starts this week as well. So, and that's the end of my report.
All right, does anyone have any questions, comments?
I just want to say I appreciate it. I've been out to the parks. Some questions came on some of the boards about what was going on at Sioux Drive. And I think the answer that really went over well was that we were doing the same thing we do every year at this time. People were thinking that maybe it was a major project. And I do think because of the wind and probably some of the basketball ability of some of the people that play there, the backboards and the rims were pretty rocked, shall we say, either by wind or dunks.
Correct.
And I did see you guys out there. Then the questions started coming, and I think the answer that was provided that it's basically routine maintenance, and we do it in all the parks every year, and that got a good response because a lot of people only see the park in their neighborhood, so they're not sure what's going on. But everybody involved did a great job. I was able to get out there and look at it, so we do a lot with a little sometimes, and but it means a lot to the families and the people that use the facilities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're up to item 11. I don't know if you want to stay there. Are you guys going to talk from there? I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever. You do it from there. So we're up to the update on 80th Street traffic concerns and actions. So we'll have a brief presentation from Superintendent Stauffer and Manager Trafka.
Thank you, Madam President.
So you can sit if you want.
Oh, I can stand. I'm good. I need
I
to stand a little bit.
Pass it around if you want. That's fine.
Before I get into some of the statistics, I do have a brief summary of the complaint about 80th Street that was written by Lieutenant Milstein. I'd like to read that just to give us a good overview of the problem. South 80th Street connects Chambers Hill Road to North Union Street in Lower Swatara Township. It's a 25-mile-per-hour roadway. The road is generally situated between State Route 322 and State Route 283. There are several large trucking facilities on North Union Street, which has contributed to an influx in traffic of both commercial vehicles and passenger vehicles. South 80th Street has been classified as a truck-restricted route. The speed of passenger vehicles was also a concern. Our Speed Sentry data collection was conducted in 2022, just after the UPS facility was put in. It was then done again in 2024, showing that more vehicles use South 80th Street and drive at higher speeds than they did 2 years prior. The 2022 85th percentile speeds for north and southbound traffic were 8 and 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, respectively. The current 85th percentile speeds from the 24 data have increased to 15 and 16 miles per hour over the speed limit for north and southbound traffic, respectively. There's also been an increase in traffic volume of approximately an additional 100 vehicles per day between 22 and 24. Northbound is showing an average of 700 vehicles per day, which is up from 606 vehicles in 2022. Southbound is showing an average of 996 vehicles per day, which is up from 914 in 2022. South 80th Street is designated as a collector roadway. That designation is made by PennDOT. It's situated in a rural setting with homes along both sides of the road. The roadway is about 25 feet across and does not have curbs or sidewalks. There are double yellow lines painted in the middle of the roadway without any road edge markings. Complaints have come into the police department regarding vehicle speeding, vehicles passing other vehicles, racing, and even reports of accidents involving vehicles leaving the roadway and damaging private property. After collecting all that information, we started what we call a patrol action in the police department, which is basically directed enforcement activity. And so for the past 13 and a half months, we've been directing enforcement activity specifically on 80th Street for speeding and all these other complaints that we've seen. So those 13 and a half months span from February 10th of 24 through March 29th of 25. In that period of time, the police department has run 205 enforcement details. We've written 293 citations. We've written 139 warnings, and we had 1 misdemeanor arrest for driving under suspension. In that same time period, across the entire township and borough, we handled a total of 1,153 crashes. And in that same time period, we had 1 crash on 80th Street. In fact, it was on Chambers Hill Road at 80th Street because we had someone pull out from the stop sign too soon. So effectively, there were no crashes on 80th Street in that time period. Prior to that time period, there were some crashes, and in fact, one that was spoken about here by residents before was a vehicle that left the roadway and hit a home. That actually occurred in Lower Swatara Township, so that's not something that we had responded to. Also, during that period of time, some of those details that we ran weren't just officers that were on duty working the regular shift. We actually had overtime speed details that we instituted. Myself and Lieutenant Milstein and Manager Traffic have met several times about the issue to try to determine the best ways to address those problems. And we also had an online meeting with a gentleman named Chris Glinski, who is the safety manager for UPS, to discuss whether or not a lot of those drivers belong to UPS. And Chris actually took the steps to post reminders at the UPS facility about employees' needs to obey the law and drive safely, not only on 80th Street, but on a lot of other roadways that go away from UPS into Derry Township and into Lower Swatara Township. We also had our speed sentries placed back up in 24, not just to gather data, but to leave the signs turned on. Those are the signs that when you're driving by, and they'll tell you how fast you're driving. If you're breaking a certain threshold, it'll flash a strobe light at you to really get your attention. I think that was actually a suggestion made by Commissioner Zubek, so thank you very much. When we downloaded the data after having those speed sentries up with the displays on for a couple weeks, it did show that the traffic had slowed down in the area. We guess, as a result of seeing how fast they're actually going. So we did make some progress with that respect. But I can now turn it over to Manager Trafka to talk about roadway improvements.
Thank you. So, as I said before, we did look at a few options. I can tell you, as Superintendent Stauffer said, we have spent a lot of time discussing, what's the best remedy for this situation, and Lieutenant Milstein and I spent even more time. We met with an engineer, a traffic engineer, kind of picked his brain. I spent a lot of time on the phone with a few of the neighboring municipalities that, have seen, the same things that we're seeing, and picked their brains to try and come up with what the best remedy was, or what we could do. And the plan is or was and still is, we talked about narrowing the road, painting a fog line at 8 foot, making the lane actually 8 feet wide. And, the studies have shown that motorists focus so much on keeping their car in between those two lines, the yellow line and the white line, that they actually slow down because that's what they focus on. The other part of that was the thermoplastic on the road, because we counted, I think there's 7 signs going out of Swatara Township and 7 signs coming back in. But they recommended maybe putting it on the ground in thermoplastic, which would be reflective. And again, motorists see that subconsciously, they slow down. So I do have the thermoplastic in our possession. I ordered it last year, and it's there. But unfortunately, again, that's kind of weather sensitive as to, when you can actually put it down, because you actually heat the road to applicate it or to make it stick, to the road. And then the third part of this, that again, while Lieutenant Milstein and I were out there the one time, I drove down into Lower Swatara to Fiddler's Elbow to turn around and come back, and I had seen some PA one call markings. Lower Swatara is planning on fixing the bridge right before Fiddler's Elbow Road. So I've been in contact with the Public Works Director for Lower Swatara numerous times. It was actually supposed to happen the end of last year, but there was a problem with one of the utilities. It was delayed, and I spoke to him again on Wednesday a week ago. That is still slated to happen, he said, in April. I had asked him at that time, and even when I talked to him before, to please notify us, right? Because I want to let our residents know as much, as early as I can in the process, that, hey, the road is going to be closed. And it sounded like it was going to probably be closed till the fall, till everything was wrapped up. So that being said, I did also get a price on the line painting to add the fog line. I got a price for just a normal line painting that we all see, that we do every couple of years. And I also looked into one of the neighboring municipalities had recommended maybe like a thermoplastic line painting, which is kind of newer. There isn't a lot of companies that can actually perform that task. The good part about the thermoplastic is it's higher visibility. It's more reflective, so to speak, and then the life of the thermoplastic is longer than the normal line painting. Normal line painting, we get approximately 2 years and it begins to fade. Thermoplastic, they claim, will last 3 to 5 times that. So, again, if it's 2 years normally, if you got the 3 times, it would be 6, and if it was 5 times, you would get 10 years. But I can tell you the cost is, it is more. And I have those numbers. I did reach out to the contractor who is able to perform that. But my thought was I didn't want to do, part of a process. I wanted to do the whole process And I felt like it would be a good time that once the road was closed, we could go in, do the whole thing, and then before the road was reopened, all the features would be in place. But again, I'm kind of waiting to hear, you know, when that's going to happen with the bridge. And again, the line painting and the thermoplastic line painting is all weather, you know, it's weather dependent. You don't paint lines when it's 40, 50, 60 degrees. The hotter the pavement, the quicker the paint dries, which in turn, you know, protects our residents from getting wet paint on their cars. So that's where we are with it. Again, we are moving forward, and you know, once I get a drop dead date on when they're going to close the road, you know, then I'll go back to the board and you know, ask you which direction you want to go with the line painting. So, but everything else is ready to go. We're just kind of waiting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions at this time?
I have more of a comment. I just want to say thank you for all of the work you're doing on this. I think it's extremely important, and just knowing that the incidents are going down because we're being vigilant and we're watching, and then I think with the safety improvements will go a long way. And I know there's a lot of other areas in the township that we'd like to focus on at some point, but it's certainly a testament to, you know, what our responsibilities are and what good we can do if we, you know, take it one step at a time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you gentlemen, for your work on this, as well as Lieutenant Milstein. All right, let me get back to the agenda. All right, we're up to item 12, approval of cost share OpenGov services agreement with Swatara Township Stormwater Authority, budget and financial transparency software. So
Motion subject
Second.
to solicitor's content and approval.
We have a motion and a second. We'll open it up for discussion. I know this, we went over it in stormwater, but for the individuals that weren't here for that, give another brief overview.
Yeah, there was a committee put together early February of last year, and they began the process of looking at different softwares from March until March of this year. I think they looked at 8 or 9 different financial softwares, and there were a couple things that were required, not required, but requested. One was to get rid of basically an inundated system that was outdated, something that would allow us to have more users rather than paying per license, that we would allow all our department heads to have access to the financial software. And then the third one was to bring about some type of financial transparency for the public, to essentially eliminate all right to know requests for financial data, because the public would have access to get the information from our website and log on based upon looking at budgets, checks, expenditures, revenues, without having to wait for staff or you to file a right to know online through email or deliver it here, where it would essentially be at your fingertips right in the comforts of your home to get the access to our financial information. Obviously what's allowed by law, and they succeeded. Several department heads here and admin staff succeeded at finding a software for us, and it was a software that we knew that we could share across all 3 of the entities. So what you have before you now is the software that was chosen. The first stage in that is them getting information from our finance office and beginning the process for budget. This is a very, very long process to cut over a financial system. One of the most important pieces that we've seen that we could do somewhat immediately that wouldn't hinder the operations of the finance department was the budgeting portion of this software. So it's going to be done in phases. And I think the anticipation, and Brittany can correct me if I'm wrong, it's over a year, possibly more than a year, because it is a cumbersome task. The information, the financial data that we have on file here that went electronic from, and I guess I use this loosely, from the antiquated of Excel spreadsheets and paper checks to actual electronic database was from 2012 till now. So that's a lot of information to upload into a new system, which is going to take some time. But from what I was told and briefed on the matter from the committee was that the quickest piece that we could get up and running, which we're going to utilize the quickest here, would be the budgeting software. And Brittany, did they say they're going to start in May, I believe?
Yes, or hopefully sooner.
And then we would be ready by, we'll put out a budget calendar here soon when we go into our round of budget meetings. And that was the tentative date for the committee, the subcommittee, excuse me, really wanted to have the software available. One key item that I think I did leave out at the stormwater meeting when we addressed this, one of the things that we looked at, and it is tough for us to do now currently, we actually have to bring in, this is one of the things that the financial advisors do, so I was a little absent-minded on this piece at the stormwater meeting, but when we look at future and long-term costs, currently right now, that's a hard projection to make. The software currently right now can't tell us if we have a need for 5 officers due to retirements in the next 6 years, what does that look like and what does that cost the township taxpayer? When we get into negotiating time for public works, and we're looking at projections 5, 6, 7, 10 years out, and we can somewhat think about what that workforce looks like and also what that cost is based upon healthcare costs, as well as contractual increases in their wages. This new software could do that. So essentially we'll see a savings from that as well. When you look at the fire department or even public works or stormwater, when you look at a model such as when you want to replace, we just bought a large vac truck for $500,000. When is that due for replacement, right? We can look at those costs in the future and it can tell us what it will do to the budget and essentially allow the governing body here to make decisions based upon where they're going to decide to spend their money. Delayed maintenance costs, and you don't think about it for future or delayed purchases, actually end up costing you more rather than taking care of it ahead of time. Just another quick example of that is, a truck last year was cheaper than what the truck this year is going to be, and it's going to be more expensive 5 years from now. So if you can get the resale value out of a vehicle, for instance, and then buy that vehicle at a cheaper cost than what you would have to pay even if it was on a replacement plan 3 years from now, that's beneficial. This software, without getting a contractor involved, would be able to project those numbers for us. So this is and the most beneficial thing, like I said to everyone else, is the transparency to the public, I think, where they can just be in the comforts of their home and actually log on and look at the information themselves rather than having to come into this building or email this building for that financial data. And Brittany, again, I'll say if I missed anything, I know I got a little long-winded than the last meeting, but there were some pieces that I left out, and I should have left those. I should have put those pieces in.
You definitely covered it this time. But I will emphasize that it is going to be a lot more user-friendly, not just for myself, for the public, easier to read for the public, but also for department heads to see different scenarios when budgeting rather than having to wait on me to type it into Excel and then generate a whole new sheet, print it again. It's going to be a lot quicker, a lot easier to access and try different scenarios.
And I'd like to just give you another example. Somewhat we're trying to eliminate the redundancies or additional work that the staff has to do. And just a breakdown of benefits, cost sharing benefits just for the township because it's budgeted per department. So you have, the general fund consists of public works, facilities maintenance, the police department, the governing, and the as well as the admin staff. To break that down when an insurance bill comes, essentially there's an Excel spreadsheet that has to be generated and the numbers plugged in just before you can plug the numbers into our financial accounting software. That's the antiquation that I talk about, the outdated things that we no longer need to do with the newer software, where we should be able to do an import and that information immediately compute to the department and essentially write out the what we would consider accounts payable check to that vendor, and as well as split it between the departments rightfully without having to come and put a whole bunch of formulas in. Now, anyone that's worked with Excel, if your cells aren't locked out, one wrong move on an Excel spreadsheet, you mess up the formula, you're starting from the beginning again. Or if you got autosave on and you forgot to turn autosave off, it's just a whole bunch of complications, and we're trying to simplify a lot of that. I think, and I discussed this with Brittany yesterday. I think in order for us to make this even a little bit more clear, I think once we come back with, when we can present after the remodel here, I think our camera system, what we can present to the public and what you will be able to see will be much better than her hooking up a laptop to here. But my request to her was, could you show the public and the board all the mundane tasks that you have to go through just to issue a check, just one specific check? And to give you an instance today, I was in a building for a short amount of time today, and there's probably about, would you say, 100 invoices in the end basket right now? And that's just over, a few days. Swatara Township issues just checks wise on accounts payable, a little over 3,000 checks sometimes a year. That's a lot of work.
At least, sorry to interrupt,
No,
but at least 100 checks a week.
So, and with that, you're talking the start of the whole process is the department heads reaching out and saying, hey, we need to purchase this. And then you're talking about a purchase order, right? And then our purchase order system, for the most part, is still paper. It's not electronically. And then from the purchase order process, you got your department heads that approve it, and then it goes to the finance department. And then it's, okay, now it's approved, so call the vendor back, and now it's an invoice. And then from the invoice, then it's approved at the department head level, and then goes back to the finance department. And then all that's gathered up, and then there's a check written. And then after the check, then all that is scanned into the system. We are good at the process of that. The problem is all that needs to be electronic. And just to give you an example of electronic, if a department head wants something moving forward under new software, they will just go in the system and register a PO, and then that PO can be approved electronically. So, it'll cut down on paper as well. It is a very daunting task to a lot of the things that we do. And I guess it's just going from analog to digital, and I'm sure some of the department heads will concur. They will be happy if we get rid of the paper process, because it will make it much, much quicker for them, and the turnaround will be much, much quicker. The same thing goes with our purchase cards. And also the public, once we cut on the financial software portion, which is an additional portion. When you want to pay your bill online, currently, let's use stormwater for instance. Currently, you go in the system, you come here, you pay your bill online, and then there is a database, I want to say, of all these credit card charges, and then they have to be taken out of the system and then manually input into AccuFund. It's not like when you go to the convenience store, you put your card in, you pay for your stuff, and then it hits instantly like that. We're not there yet. So that's the ultimate goal and where we want to get to, and it's going to take some time, and eventually, hopefully, we can get this done within a year's time. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of help. The president had to go to the bathroom, but is there any other discussion after my long-winded discussion? I apologize.
No, I just want to say that this is shared over the three departments, and I know you touched on this, but this goes back to the combination and the joint committees and sharing of things that we would need to purchase this just for Swatara Township, but we're actually purchasing this for Swatara Township, the Swatara Township Authority, and the Swatara Township Stormwater Authority. And even though the initial changeover costs more than the year to year from on a first year basis, by the time you start getting into the 5th through 10th year, if something else will come along at some point, but it just say we did it 10 years. I think we're using a system now that we're in either the 12th or the 13th year. Mm-hmm. Then you start to see the savings with the cost sharing, and the main thing is, I think right now, the efficiency. As things change, sometimes we don't change fast enough. So I think there's a lot of positives with this. Thank you.
Just a comment. I asked some questions during the stormwater meeting. I'm just going to ask the residents if they want to see what my questions were, comments. Refer to the stormwater meeting. I don't want to continue to repeat myself this evening, but the only other comment I have is my number one top concern is transparency, and if this software makes it more user-friendly so that the residents are able to request information and it's disseminated to them in a proper manner, then I'm very supportive of making life easier. I don't recall some of the daunting tasks that were mentioned, but I do know that I have asked questions for financial information. Residents have asked questions about financial information. It has not always been provided in the format that was requested. And so I'm hoping that that continues. And then also, I'm hoping that the information that's provided in the past, whatever we're putting together for future, everything matches up so that there could be a proper side-by-side comparison when you're looking at budget sheets from last year and the year before. I'm hoping that with new software, there's not going to be an extreme difference in how it, in the view of that software, in the view of that information, so that people can look at last year and say, here's last year's, but this year's, it's exactly the same. So I just want to make sure that there's that fluidity across software as we're transitioning to a new system. So thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if this was said because I stepped away. The costs for No? Okay. So for the public, what we have in front of us right now is 3-year terms. And the first year, the cost to the township would be $71,660. The second year would be $20,884.50, and the third it would be $21,928.72. And I know last time during the stormwater meeting, Commissioner Tuckey highlighted the cost for all of it altogether. I don't know if you want to do that again, just again for people that weren't here.
It was a total of $260,000 between all three entities.
And the time frame was May 1st of 2025 through December 31st of 2027.
For 3 years, yes. Basically.
All right. Do we have any further discussion with regard to the software?
Yeah, I missed the math in the stormwater meeting, and I apologize for that. But if we weren't cooperating with the 3 entities, it actually would be $216,000 in the first year, because each of us would be paying $72,000. So the fact that we all pay the stormwater fee and the sewer fee, the savings actually are much more significant than what I had stated before. And by looking at that, the taxpayer, ratepayer, fee payers are winning 3 times over by us being able to use this across all of those different boards and commissions. So just wanted to put that out there.
All right. Do we have anything else? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item 12 is approved. We're up to item 13. Consideration of resolution appointment of Omar Sarkotic as the Assistant Zoning Officer. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. By way of discussion, Mr. Golden, can you just give a brief explanation for the public as to why this is the route that we're going?
Yeah, so sure. So Commissioner Connolly and I've been here for about 4 years now. We're looking for ways to make the Department of Building and Codes more efficient, more effective. Omar has been with the township since 2018, and his duties have been code enforcement. And that also has included zoning enforcement as well. When he goes out, for example, someone's parked on a sidewalk, that's actually in the zoning code. So to be efficient and effective at his job, we felt it was necessary to have him appointed as Assistant Zoning Officer. He won't be reviewing permits or anything like that unless that I'm out on medical or something. So I'm going to train him, but he won't be doing the day-to-day for that. It's more geared towards the enforcement aspect of it. So hope that helps.
Yep, thank you.
And I'd like to add that it might seem like you were here 4 years. I think you stayed there. You've been here 4
months. I'm sorry.
maybe that's just
feels-
a
yeah.
meeting shot. But I want to point this out that This is the first move that we're going to make in codes. We're still in the process, and hopefully have information next month that with some efficiencies, cleaning up some backlogs, and the fact that both Omar and Mr. Golden are very good at their job. This time of year, we would need that second codes officer. Grass is growing, people are calling in, violations. But we're looking at a way that Zach will also go in the field. The priority is the bigger projects here and, the things that he specializes in. But we're going to look at it over the next couple of weeks, and I think we're going to come back in May with actually some new job description and duties for Zach with this additional workload put on Omar. We're probably going to be able to actually eliminate a position, and we'll try it, through the rest of the year. But we think we can, do more with less. So there would be significant savings, but at the same time, those two would be adding some duties. So there may be some, change in salary to reflect that. But overall, it's going to be another savings to the township, and I think we're there. I wasn't sure that we could do it this year, but both of the gentlemen are working pretty hard. We're actually not losing any ground, and that's not a knock on anybody else. But as we change systems and methods, and they're more efficient, we can actually cut down on personnel and save costs. So. We have this action tonight, which I would fully support and work with Zach on. I'm pretty confident we'll be back for either the first or second meeting in May with another efficient change to the planning, zoning, and codes department. So thank you.
Thank you. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, you're already down one employee there. I don't see how you can cut any more out of the department.
What they're saying is with the employee being not there, Zach's going to step in and fill the gap. That's essentially what.
Okay, the way it sounded towards the end of his comments sounded differently than that.
That job position is still in the books, so
Yes.
we would basically, with the maneuver of, correct me if I'm wrong, but the maneuver of Omar assisting some of the same field that you do, and then you doing the same for him, we're essentially eliminating one position, splitting that salary, and sharing that portion with this position, and then obviously with you when we come back with the new job description and everything. So
Exactly.
that's where I took it, and I don't.
Yeah,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's
No,
the way
you're correct,
I took it.
and I'm not sure if I said something that wasn't accurate, but to be clear, it's a vacant position, and at any time that we feel that this plan isn't working or there's a need, we could certainly fill it. It's in the budget, so. No one is actually currently that's on staff is going to be removed. It's a position that's vacant that won't be filled if we can pull this off.
I speak to it. I kind of like the direction that we're headed. I think when you can train your whole entire department, now that you would have, he would be the second assistant, because you also have MJ as one of your backups, and like you just said. If you would happen to leave, what would happen?
Sure.
You're out sick or anything else. So I actually like the direction and the thought process that you and the committee chair are headed to, and keep up the good work. And that's essentially what we're looking at from the very onset of January of 2024 is to, share costs and cut costs where we can, but overlap duties if it's possible. And I think you're doing a great job at that. And the 6 months you've been here, 5 months? December, so 5. I'll give you 5, 4 years.
Not like it. Yeah.
No, keep thinking outside the box on that, because we need that. That's what's going to help our township, and that's what's going to help our taxpayers. And like anything else, I think once you evaluate, if it doesn't work, we'll come back and try to tweak it a little bit. But you're doing the right thing, and you're heading the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam President. Yeah, I appreciate wherever we can save. I wasn't questioning that.
Sure.
It just sounded like to me, possibly we're going to be short another staff person.
No.
So I'm good with saving anywhere we can. So thank you.
Do we have any further discussion or questions this time? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's going to be Resolution R-2025-33. shuffle my papers. We're up to item 14. Consideration of resolution, appointment of Natalie Blackman as Assistant Right to Know Officer.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll go ahead and open it up for discussion.
I think you're doing similar to the same thing that you're basically doing with zoning, and on top of that, obviously we know, I mean, I'm not going to get into the details of our current right to know officer, but obviously she is out currently right now and handling some things. PD's overwhelmed with their right to know officer, our current right to know officer, so the more backups that we have, the better off we are, and this is just an additional person that can be a backup that is also the right to know officer for currently for sewer, and I would suggest that next month we come back and do the same on stormwater as well, so we have another backup there. And I think Chief Stauffer and probably zoning and codes director Golden probably can contest to this. It seems like this year right to knows have just increased, and there is a lot of things going on with right to knows and handling properly, and whether there be gathering the information, sifting through the emails, sifting through the right to knows themselves. Sometimes the state agencies are involved, so it becomes a daunting task. And I think something for the public's understanding, some right to knows can take a couple hours just gathering the information and making sure you got all the information and what you're legally allowed to release. You got to talk to an attorney, you know, when the attorney's here on staff. So it can become cumbersome, hours, a couple days, a week, just caught up in right to know. So this is just adding another person to assist. One, if someone's off. Two, to possibly, if the right to know information goes to the initial officer, then that person might have time, such as the one that we use in zoning and codes, to go sit with the attorney, get the information, and then facilitate that back while the other right to know officer is working on something else. Another, I think, idea, brainchild that started with you and Chief Stauffer, looking at and getting together and having this conversation. So I'll say again, I think this was another good idea that you two came up with to move us forward and make sure we're fluid as it required to right to know requests.
Oh, Madam President, go ahead, comment. I have to push back on the right to know officer comments. I mean, I've been on this board for nearly 7 years now, and we had one right to know officer for the township that handled all the requests. We had years where there were heavier amount of requests, years where there were lighter. We didn't need 2 assistants and 3 assistants. We literally, in 2024, this board got rid of the right to know officer for the township that handled all right to know requests. And I think that severely diminished the public trust, but also the ability for us to respond to, information that our residents have a right to, and they deserve timely requests. And so I just want to point out that while I'm happy that we're moving in the direction and ensuring that right to know requests are being answered, I disagree with the fact that I'm very concerned about the fact that we got rid of one person that was handling all right to knows, and now we can't figure out how to get these right to knows responded to in a proper manner. I think it was a poor decision, and I hope it gets better moving forward. Thank you.
Just so we're clear, we didn't ever have just one right to know. We had 2.
We had one for police and one for the township. I understand that.
That equals 2.
But now you're saying that we're hiring 2 more, that we needed 2 more assistants. So in my opinion, you eliminated one job for the township, and you're replacing that individual with 3 people doing that job now. So I'm expressing concerns. I'm allowed to have a differing of opinion. I'm allowed to express my concerns. And, I hope it doesn't take 20 minutes to push back on one simple comment of, I think we made a wrong decision.
No, it would just be my opinion, I guess, that, when we say certain things to the public, if you can present the number of right to knows in 22 and 23 that you're talking about, because we did have an increase. Staff came to us and said we have an increase, and we have to deal with it. So I think that's just on another level of, I don't know how you twist it and subdifuse it
No twisting.
to the
I'm
best
allowed to have
ability
an
that you
opinion.
But at some point, I think we have staff to handle these right to knows, and they're doing a good job. We're getting overwhelmed, and that's ultimately when the staff come to us and say, hey, look, our folks are overwhelmed, and we put two department heads together and have a conversation. Hey, can your right to know officer, who's also an assistant township officer, maybe handle these extra influxes? Well, no. And then you go to the main township right to know officer. Hey, what's her workload look like? And it's, we need some help because
I'm
of the
glad you admit that you're overwhelmed and you need some help.
I didn't interrupt you, so
No,
please allow me to
actually,
speak.
you kind of did. You want to go on a 20-minute response to my comment when all I
I
simply...
yield my time to Commissioner Conley.
Yeah,
you don't
I
have
want
to
to
use
be
your
clear
time.
here.
I don't need
We're
a
not
20-minute
hiring anybody
response.
new. We have a right to know officer for the township that handles things on this side. We have a right to know officer for the police department. The right to know officer for the township is not here, off work for a personal reason. So if we don't replace, then there will be a backlog and we won't be complying with the law.
There's already one.
So you're interrupting me now, and I've only talked for a minute.
Just keep going.
So basically, we're just assigning an additional duty to a highly competent person that actually performs that duty for an authority that's in this building. So to say that that person is now capable of being a right to know officer, which requires board action to handle sensitive documents, is all we're doing. Saying somebody that's really good at it already in the building and has duties over here will then be recognized tonight as an assistant right to know officer so that they can pick up the duties for the person that's not able to do them. So it happens in almost every other job everywhere. If there's one person that does something and there's a risk that they won't be there every single day, you have a replacement or a second. And it's as simple as that. It has nothing to do with years ago. Anybody the same thing has happened years ago when the prior right to know officer was not available or was off. So
She wasn't
she
not here
was
very often.
never off in 42 years if we listen to this
No, I'm
person
not
who
saying-
makes things up. I'm done talking.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, Madam President, one more comment. I think it's extremely, it's sad that there's so much negative feedback just because I made a comment that we had consistency. And that's it. Consistency is now gone. And I understand that this is an adjustment period, but someone said that we were overwhelmed. Another one said that we need, to respond. I agree. We need to respond to right to know requests. I don't dispute that. I'm fine with having people fill this responsibility so that we can, get things out in a proper manner. I was simply stating a fact that we had consistency and now we don't. And I'm glad that we're moving in a direction where we might have consistency once again. Thank you very much. And again, I'm entitled to an opinion. And I'm entitled to be able to put the facts out there. And I'm hearing a lot of humming and oohing and awing up here. I don't think it's very respectful.
I haven't
But
spoken
I'll
yet.
leave that up to the public.
I'm going to go now.
Madam President, may I
Yes.
just state a couple of things? And I'm not trying to get into who used to be here or how the process used to work because I was not involved at that time. But what I can tell you is today I was on the phone with the Office of Open Records having to request an extension of a deadline to respond on an appeal because the right to know officer is not here at the moment. There are two others that we had to request for the same reason just last week. In fact, I think the gentleman may be in the room tonight who's waiting for a response. There are police requests that include sensitive information that a police officer has to look through. So there's an entirely separate issue with the police department. But I'm here on site 1, sometimes 2 days, most weeks, and the right to know officer is the first appointment on my list every single time I'm here, and she comes in with a stack of requests. I think it was 12 of them that we discussed last time. So again, can't speak about the past, but I can tell you right now it is busy, and having an alternate or an assistant would be very helpful with that process.
Thank you. And with regard to this, I'm just going to highlight, this is essentially something similar to what this board has been doing with cost sharing. Ms. Blackman is already the right to know officer for the sewer authority. She already has the training. She's already here. We're utilizing another person without having to create an additional hiring. So it's cost saving measures, and it's to make sure that we're compliant with the law. So that's why this resolution is on the agenda this evening. So do we have anything further? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's going to be resolution R-2025-34. So we've made it to visitors' requests and comments. Item
Madam
15.
President, before we get there, may I be recognized?
Sure.
So I was asked, last week I had brought up an ordinance that we had for replacement of the township manager, and I was asked at that time.
Is this something that you can handle during your comments?
Well, no, I'd like to
Is
make
this
a
not-
motion, actually, that we appoint a township manager this evening. So I'm making a motion that we appoint a township manager this evening as acting manager.
Okay, do you have a name?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to second that.
Do you want to provide the
So,
name? And before we move forward too, I just want to ask the solicitor if this is something that we're able to do, obviously because it's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda, so I'm not entirely sure who Commissioner Zubek is going to suggest. If it's a current employee and all you're doing is designating someone as manager, that would be different than if it involves the expenditure of additional funds. Either way, probably not something that can be acted on this evening.
Well, I guess my question is, we did budget for a manager in this budget, did we not?
Yeah, but a motion, I guess, can I speak to the point of order?
He was
Can I call
saying
a
that
point of
it's.
order?
Well, I'm asking just on a
because
point
of
of order. Is
you
it in order?
know the rules that have changed with the agenda.
So-
Something has to be de minimis. So if it's
So it's already budgeted, but that's okay. I do want to discuss this, and then I'm happy to have the board consider this for the next meeting. But I think it's important for us to have this conversation because it was just a week ago that someone had suggested that it should be something that was my responsibility, which I disagree with. But in any case, I had asked residents to reach out to me if they had any resumes or if they had an interest in being the acting township manager as per us fulfilling our ordinance. And so I do have the resume here. She is a former employee of the authority. The other individual that sent me their resume is disqualified due to the fact that in 2017, prior to my being on the board passed a nepotism policy, which precludes that person from serving in a capacity for the township as a manager. So that person's disqualified, but I would like to place the name of Melissa Castellano in as a recommendation for acting manager until a permanent one can be replaced. I have copies. I know you probably already know her. You probably know her better than I do. But I'm going to pass the resumes down for the
Sure.
Commissioners. I'm also going to pass down a copy of our nepotism policy in case anybody is wondering, as well as the minutes for the when we pass a nepotism policy. It's very, very thorough. So, I mean, it even excludes step parents and, a lot of individuals from being able to serve in a capacity. So if you want to just have that for future reference. Is somebody one short? There might be one short on the nepotism policy. Yeah. But so I would appreciate the board's consideration. I think that this is an issue where we are in non-compliance of our own township ordinances, and I would like the township to address this because over a year we would expect our residents to come into compliance with our township ordinances, or there would be penalties, and I expect us to hold ourselves to the highest standard. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will recall my motion, and I would like the board to address this issue as quickly as possible while keeping everyone on this board in the loop as to what the steps are going to be taken to fill that acting position. Thank you.
I do have a question. Are you saying that you've given us 3 sets of documents? Are you saying that the name that you've provided, if we hired, would violate the nepotism policy?
No, I am not.
Okay.
The name that I provided is one of 2 resumes. The other resume I did not submit for consideration due to the fact that it would be in violation of that nepotism policy.
Gotcha.
And I wanted you to have the documentation. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So I guess my only question would be is, back to some of the things that I've heard on this board throughout 24 and 25, and some of those things were, and I get the fact you rescinded your motion, but this goes back to my
I can reinstate it if you'd like.
I did not interrupt you, and I'll ask
Okay.
you like I asked you last meeting. At some point, can we have a little bit of decorum? I won't interrupt you. Please don't interrupt me, and then we can work through this together. That's all I ask. Nothing more. Just a little bit of respect. I'm going to give you the same respect. All throughout 24 and this year, all I heard was a process on hiring. And let's be clear. There were issues with the process on hiring, and last meeting, majority of you there in the crowd or probably online, heard some things that we tried to do to shore up a lot of what was more of the culture of Swatara Township, just the way we did things. So we instituted some human resource policies to make sure that our hiring practices were the way they're supposed to be. So just so we're clear, because last meeting I did say how everything that a few people on this board say, they can't do the same thing, and here's your example. You literally today tried to come out here, make a motion and a second with a resume before this full board got to interview this person.
Well, you
And
asked me last week.
I did not
last
interrupt
week
you.
You asked me if I had
not
a
interrupt
person I
you.
would like to appoint. So I don't understand why you asking me last week and calling me out in public and expecting an answer would negate me or bringing the information that you requested tonight. Commissioner Steele, let's stop lying to people and grandstanding and admit the fact that last week you thought you could sit here and demean me and ask me for a name, and residents sent me resumes, and so I show up this week and now I'm being demeaned again and chastised because I did exactly what you said.
I'm going to ask you a question. Can I talk and then you can rebuttal after me?
I don't want to rebut. I just want to move on.
So I don't want right. You want to be on because you want to state your point, but no one else can
because you
state their
spent
point.
half an hour
Okay, so
talking
let
about
me finish. Let me finish
the
with
other
my
software.
comments, please. Let me finish with my comments, and I would ask that you go back and watch last Wednesday's meeting, because I did say put forth a name. But our process is this, and this is the same process that you have been screaming for the last 16 months. That you put forth a name, it goes to the commissioners, we do an interview here, just like that director right there was interviewed. You just screamed last meeting that you didn't get to interview another person. You didn't get to hire someone. And you came this very next meeting and made a motion. This guy beside me seconded, and you were about to hire someone.
Well, you already knew her. She worked for you.
So how can you complain about
As
a process
chair of the sewer authority,
that
she
you
worked for you.
don't like, that you were about to do the same exact thing? Now I want to tell you to the public, now you get to see the deceit and subterfuge that she likes to use, and the gentleman beside me to use their tactics to get what they want.
Who's gaslighting
If you
now?
go watch every single meeting, you've heard that every single meeting, and they just try to do the same thing.
Who's gaslighting
So here's what
now?
I'll do to clean it up for you. Here's what I'll do to clean up for you. This is a personnel committee matter. So the personnel committee will take into consideration this resume.
Well, I'm glad you're finally doing your job.
There we go. And then we will reach out to this individual, and then we will allow this individual, as we get other resumes too, to come into an executive session interview with the board of commissioners. And then we'll move forward from there.
Good.
But we're not going to come into a meeting and make a motion in a second before anyone, like you want, on this board got an opportunity to interview somebody.
Well, I'm glad you're finally doing your job as personnel chair. And you should have appointed somebody. This board had
Commissioner
a
Tuck is
duty
gonna speak.
against the law. We were breaking the law for an entire year, over a year. So don't sit here and tell me about being righteous when you have done nothing but break the law for an entire year. And then you fired everybody, took the office, and started running the day-to-day operations of the township, which is explicitly forbidden in the first-class township code. So Commissioner Steele, before you sit here and gaslight the public and grandstand, follow the law. And yes, I brought that name today. And you know what? I'm fine rescinding it now that you're admitting that you should have filled the position and you're doing your job.
Okay, Commissioner Tuckey, go ahead.
She pretty much said it. We haven't had a manager since, you said, 16 months?
Probably had a manager 2022, 23.
Okay.
Yeah, because nobody managed the place. If you want me to answer the
Seriously,
question, that's what ran it into the ground.
It's been stated over and over again at the meetings. Last meeting, you said to Commissioner Zubak about getting someone, and she did, by having people send her the information. So there's no grandstanding, there's nothing like that. It'd just be nice to be able to follow the rules you're supposed to follow as a board and fill the spots that we need to have filled. So thank you.
All right, we almost made it to
We did.
visitors' requests and comments without controversy, but we'll go ahead and go on to item 15 now. If you have any visitors' requests and comments, please come forward, state your name and address as well as write them down, and then you may begin. Thanks, Brenton. Did you wake up?
Mary Klaus, 447 Pritchard Court in Chambers Hill, and I have three things to mention. I certainly agree with Chief Iverson that the number of fire calls has gone up over the years. And when you ask for some perspective, I would just point out that many years ago, we didn't count any emergency medical services calls for the fire side. So like our company, Chambers Hill, we ran 916 calls in some years. That's a lot of calls for a handful of volunteers. In fact, 2 of the years we never scratched or missed any of the calls, and 1 year we missed 2 calls of some of those years. But they weren't included ever in the fire statistics. The automatic alarms have really gone up a lot, and mutual aid used to be something that the fire companies got when someone had a working incident, and now because of the vast shortage through the township, through the county, through the state, through the nation of enough people, we all have to help each other out. That's all contributed to more calls, and you have more work for less people, and so that's the mess that we have repeatedly said we're in. But that's part of the reason why some of the calls have gone up, and maybe a quarter of them might be related to emergency medical services. The second thing I wanted to mention was Chambers Hill Fire Company has our last all-you-can-eat fish dinner this Friday night. We're serving from 4:30 to 7. And it'll be a whole year till you get all that good all-you-can-eat food. So just keep that in mind. We're also preparing for our chicken barbecue season, which starts on May the 11th, and we do that as a drive-through. And today, 2 of us bought and unloaded 1,152 pounds of charcoal. And so we're ready for the season. And the third thing is this here light. It is driving some of us in the audience nuts. Could you just take the light bulbs out if it doesn't work? And then it doesn't do anything because it's not giving us light, and it's really blinking a lot, and it's kind of distracting, you could say. I don't know if you notice it as much, but when we're sitting right there, it really hits us.
Makes sense.
So maybe just take the light bulbs out like you do at home until you can get it fixed or whatever. Thank you.
Yep, thank
Mary,
you, Mary.
I think that might be the last time you look at that light.
Yeah.
Ever again until the next month, and when we have.
Well, goodbye light.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we'll say, let there be light, right?
and let there be light. Right?
I just wanted to enlighten you on the subject.
There you
Yes.
go. needed the rim shot, but
Okay. My name and all that is still there. Zoloft is 5631 Plainview Drive. I just want to commend Chief Stauffer. He puts together a great report. I love how it's categorized. I love how he analyzes the situation with the traffic, and then he went in and he found some mitigation, and they followed through, and then he reported on it. I really want to commend you for your reporting. It's really is first class. And I want to reiterate what Mary said. It would be maybe the reporting is there for the fireside. Maybe we can drill in somewhere and find out which calls were EMS, or were they seasonal brush fires, or were they space heaters, or whatever. And maybe, if there were ever suggestions on mitigation, like what Chief Stauffer does, maybe we could get that as well in a report. I like numbers, I like stats, I like things to be categorized, so you can get a better feel of what the picture is. Is it because, were there a lot of vehicle fires? We have a lot of EVs out there. I don't know, it'd be good to know. Just increased calls doesn't tell the story. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
So,
Do we have any further visitors' requests and comments at this time? I'm just writing a note before I forget. All right, I'm not seeing anybody jumping up. We're up to item 16, possible stormwater violations for investigation. This is on our agenda every meeting. If you have any, and you can let us know and we can investigate. We're up to item 17, commissioners' requests and comments, additional business and correspondence. Commissioner Tuckey?
Yep. I'd just like to remind everyone about the senior fair. That's going to be held April 23rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the LCBC Church at 4150 Chambers Hill Road. There's going to be, actually at this point, there's over 83 vendors. And it's meant to be able to help seniors and caregivers of seniors. It's been a very successful event, and I hope we have a great attendance like we have been the past few years. I'd also like to thank Officer Brendan Pocrop and Detective Seiler. They are a huge part on helping put this together, and they're just overall just great people. They really do put a lot of time and effort, and we've worked well together. And I do appreciate everything that they do. Detective Seiler, he said he was at the Senior Fraud Prevention pit. And I know both of the officers do a great job. So please let them know. Thank you. Mary said it, Chambers Hill Fire Company, they're fish fry, so I don't have to say much about that. It's the last one, though. This board talks so much about transparency, and it'd be good to see that completely straight through with everyone. I'm all for saving the taxpayers' money as much as we can. I'm not for wasting. I haven't been. And I just like to see things done properly. That's all. Moving forward, because of all that, I'd like to make a motion for a forensic audit for Swatara Township and all of its affiliates. I think that would do a lot for the community to be able to show truly how things have been done over the past 10 plus years.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we can open it up for a discussion, but again, with regards to how the agendas work, how Sunshine works. You're not allowed to add items. So if you want to submit it as a request, because it's been discussed before and we just had an audit
If it's
that's
de
online.
minimis in nature, and we can always come back later
Oh no, the cost,
and
so,
put up the cost at a later date.
yeah.
But there's no reason why we can't, and I'm asking for a ruling from the solicitor on whether or not we can address the motion and come back later and address the cost, should we move forward with that.
Well, I think I have a great compromise for everybody. Being that there's no proposal before the board to actually engage a consultant to do that audit, there's really nothing to vote on this evening that would result in the expenditure of funds. But what you can do is direct staff to seek out proposals for such an audit and bring one or more back to the board for consideration at a later date.
Forensic audit.
Requesting staff to engage in that sort of activity is something that the board can do despite it not being on the agenda.
Okay. So Commissioner Tuckey, will you amend your motion?
I'll amend the motion, but I would ask that we act on this very soon as a board, and that we have a few estimates from the different auditors and make sure
What years what years we talking? How many years?
10 years up to present.
No, you're going to second again?
Yes,
Okay.
second.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I'm going to say aye, but I didn't
You missed
know
some
what
of
we
it.
were directing the staff just to.
Proposals for a forensic audit.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
that will come to the board and then.
For
yeah.
the last 10 years?
Yep, yep, yep.
I'm fine.
And all of its affiliates, just to,
What is affiliates?
What is that? Yeah, what do you mean?
well,
it's-
affiliates would be
To be
any.
fair, I'm not sure that the township can actually order an audit of
Anything
either
else.
Well, if
authorities
there
and
is
books,
any
but the authority board
organization,
could.
then organization that receives township funds, would they not be subject to the same auditing requirements that we would be subject to? And I am asking that as a point of order.
The authorities have their own audits completed on an annual basis, if that's what you're asking about.
Why don't we ask the auditors that?
I'm just
okay.
referring to this
Great
board
question.
Right.
ordering a separate audit for the other two entities.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the authorities, but we do have fire companies and other affiliates. Would they all be involved in the audit?
If
I mean,
we
that's-
direct it?
That's for you all to decide what you would
Okay.
We'd
like
be fine with
audited,
that.
Okay.
but I can't really speak in a general answer about every entity that might receive funds. There's different requirements that apply.
Well, I meant affiliates by
Reach out to the auditors.
any organization receives funds from us. The auditors can decide whether or not they're subject to the audit. But thank you.
Do I bring these to the next meeting or?
I say we don't use ZNA, our current auditors either.
Well,
We could
that's,
do
we
something.
can, that's,
I think the auditors
we're at
will be
commissioners
providing
requesting comments.
requests for
Let's
proposals
direct
when
the
they
meeting
hire.
back to there. If you have any suggestions, email it to myself or
I would like for this,
Treasurer Yarzinski.
I would like for the commissioners to just allow the staff to do their research
Yeah,
and come back
that's,
to us.
if you have any comments, then don't email me, email her. That's fine. I don't care
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
all.
I have no suggestions.
So I'll bring them to next board meeting, right? Is that okay?
Is
fine?
that, I don't know if that's enough time. If it's enough
Well,
time,
if
sure.
it's not, I'll let you guys.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
I'm willing to allow you whatever time is necessary to
For
get
soliciting
a
enough
good amount
reports
of-
or proposals. All right. Would you like to finish your comments, Commissioner Tuckey?
Yeah, I'd just like to be able to see straight through with all entities exactly where we're at as a township for the taxpayers. And if there is anything that's needs to be looked at, then we can, get things corrected in the future. So, I'd just also like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Of course, there's also 2 other events on Saturday with the Easter egg hunt. It's at, I'm sorry,
I'm gonna,
you're gonna say,
yeah, but
Easter
just,
egg
it's
hunt and-
it's most like, just for the public, it's most likely gonna be moved indoors because of the weather forecast. So that's what, but 11 to 12:15 or 12:30, 11 to 12:30.
and then with gathering Saturday for the baseball league.
And that's at 10 a.m.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Commissioner Zubek?
Yes, I think Commissioner Tuckey covered a lot of what I wanted to cover as far as the, I do want to reminder, Coffee with a Cop, looking forward to, I know Chambers Hill, the 40 and 8 does a lot for our community. They have really done an amazing job with the property, opening it up to the public for events. And, I think it's a really great venue, and they do a great breakfast every month. So they've started doing a breakfast every month. So I think they're going to do a phenomenal job. Supporting our police, being able to engage with the public is always a good thing. And then I also am going to be looking for some other venues, because I think, if we're moving them around, I'd like to see us maybe visit the Lawton Legion or some other places, that we can really kind of broaden our group that we're reaching out to. And so that's that. And again, when I ask questions on, things that are taking place, it's never to, disparage the fire service or, I just want to make sure that we all know what's going on, so that when people ask us for information, we're able to provide answers and let the residents know that we're paying attention. And I appreciate and truly appreciate all of the emergency responders that we have, the firefighters, the great job that, we do with EMS. I mean, I think that we have a lot of good people serving our community. I just want to be able to answer the questions that we were put here to answer. And so that being said, I'm going to cut it short. It's been a long night. I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and I hope you all have a safe drive home. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly?
I want to start with something. I was attending a meeting here, and someone was coughing. It wasn't this board, but it was planning, or one of the had to do with land development. And I just want to say to everybody, is I don't know if you realize this or not, but down the hallway by the bathroom, there is a water dispenser that has little cups. But if there's ever a time that you think that you need water, we have it here. So that person, like by the time we figured out what was going on, but and this goes for anybody, anytime. There's not that many people here, but if you have, like the person described it as a tickle in their throat and they couldn't clear their throat, we have not a water fountain, but a water cooler that should always have at least the cone style cups. But if you're in any type of distress, let us know, because we do keep water up here, and we have water in the back room. So yeah, we have 2 cases right here. So and I'm one that, I like to sip the water throughout the meeting, so I just want to put that out there. And then the Earth Day will be the 19th. We're going to get that on the website. We were announcing some other things. We have the Easter egg hunt on. I know there was a conversation between the 2 co-chairs of Recreation, Commissioner Steele, Commissioner Ellis. After this meeting, they're going to look at the weather. Right now, it doesn't look good. Probably, tonight or early tomorrow. We've given two options, an outdoor and an indoor. My feeling that they'll probably make the decision for the indoor unless the forecast changes. So that would be 11 to 12:30, and if that takes place, then there's really no time restrictions, because it's just a continuous movement. People come in, do the egg hunt, and then continue out. Whereas the outdoor egg hunt will be some specific times for specific age groups. And it's really interesting with the township. I looked through the history. When Easter is earlier and it's March, we've been successful sometimes at having the Easter egg hunt outside. But by the time you get into April, with the April showers, even if it's not raining that day, a lot of places are muddy. And it's not just us. Last week, a neighboring municipality had an Easter egg hunt scheduled outdoors. They moved it indoors. When as soon as that decision is made, we'll update the website. We did get something on about that. Looking forward to the coffee with the cop. I heard other places that were thrown out. If I hear something, I give it to the chief. If he's out in the community, he hears something. But that is open to lots of locations. They just have to express an interest. So if someone has an interest and they want to ask a location to see, because we try to do it once a month, and we try to hit as many places as we can. So Chief Stauffer's always open and flexible on that monthly event. Hopefully the weather's nice enough for the WP opening day. Do you have a rain date, or you're just going for it?
We're going to go for it.
Rain or shine. Well, I guess I'll be there before the Easter egg hunt, so appreciate that. And then again, the senior event that Commissioner Tuckey spoke about, I've had the opportunity to attend the previous ones, and it's beneficial to the community, and we get a lot of people out there. I am looking forward to at the 40 and 8 seeing the drone operator. We have Mr. Harlacker here, professional in that field, so that'll be a pretty awesome display for the residents. And for the comments about the golf course, I didn't look it up during the meeting, but pretty confident the general authority that oversees that does have public meetings. I don't know if they're monthly or quarterly. Next week, yeah.
16th of April, 8 a.m.
Okay, yeah, just because I think you get a lot of questions answered there. But I will say that the date that we heard on the request for proposals goes all the way to the 15th of May. So right now, I guess they're in the process of seeing if anybody is going to purchase their property. And to be clear, me as an individual and my role in zoning, planning and codes, I have no say in what would go there. I do have personal preferences, and I have no problem if the golf course remains forever. That really wasn't the point of anything that we did. There were already a lot of uses that could go there. But another topic is Chambers Hill Fire Company. We've been working with Mary Klaus and a couple other firefighters there. And I think we're ready between now and the next meeting to have an agreement. I know the solicitor was working on it, on the use of the building. It was a conversation. You're shaking your head no.
I didn't know the solicitor was working on anything. This is news to me.
It was all the information we got from you to put in an agreement.
We'll talk after.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I think we're very close to having an agreement on the use of the building, and everything I got was attributed to you and a letter that you wrote. We don't have an agreement, but I'd like to thank Mary and the few firefighters that are there. I want to be really clear on this. We heard at different times in this meeting, at fire meetings, and at Chambers Hill that the fire company had 14, 15, and 16 firefighters. The night of the open house, to be clear, not one additional person followed through and ended up being a firefighter. We did pick up some people that had been firefighters years ago, and there were some existing firefighters, but it's tough to get people. So we had an open house that had well over 100 people, and we got nobody, zero, that followed through, even though some of those people came to the podium here and there and said they were going to be a firefighter. And I'm not blaming or faulting anybody. It's a tough thing to commit to. So I'm sure they had it in their heart at the time that they were going to do it, or their mind, and it didn't work out. But I think we're still going to be able to do what we planned on doing and operating that fire company. And all that credit really goes to Mary, because unfortunately, if you were counting on all the other people that said things or put out numbers, it wouldn't have happened. And the last thing I want to say is tonight I had an extensive packet of land issues, uses, multiples of them, all types of uses in a big, extensive packet that was worked on with the data centers and other things. And ironically tonight, no one asked who picked that particular land use or where did it come from or anything like that. And we we are moving on a heck of a lot of changes. But last week, to be clear, to say that no one moved it forward, we have these documents, I'll post them online, that show the process. And it really wasn't any different than tonight's. But last night on something that
So that's a
really
text
protected
change?
the township, I'm going to finish
Is that
here
a
and wrap it up.
map change?
Something that really protected the township.
I'm
We had
just
a 3 to
wondering.
2
Don't interrupt.
vote.
You
We
can
had a
have the
3 to 2
conversation
vote.
after.
So think about who's protecting the township and who's looking out for you. And the school district came and told us that they're in bad situation on the taxes that we pay if they can't get some financial relief. And look at how the vote went, and look at who supported it, and look at who supports you week after week. And I feel like some people come here because they're really not interested in who supports them and who makes the great decisions up here and does wonderful things for the township. But I'm going to say this, I'm proud of the decisions that the board makes, no matter what the vote is. It could be funny to people that put us in a position where we have to raise taxes or have 3 people doing one job.
That was you.
I think we're doing an incredible job, and I just ask people to look at the facts and look at who is voting consistently to move the township forward and who is complaining about what happened 10 years ago. Thanks everybody for coming out, and I'm so happy that you're here. The people that are here, I am so happy that you're here, and the people watching, thank you.
Vice President Steele.
I'll keep it quick because I think we got a short meeting and everybody really wants to get home. Thank you to everyone that decided to come out and spend time with us today, those that logged on online. The staff, I already gave you my comments. Continue what you're doing. Continue to assist in a lot of turmoil. I think in time, at some point, we will try to all come on the same page. I think it's very, as a matter of fact, I know it's possible because I've seen meetings where it has happened. I'm thankful that sometimes that we can continue to get better month after month and working together. And I'll just remind all my colleagues, at the end of the day, we are all here because the public wanted us here, and they're the residents of Swatara Township. And no matter the affiliation, whether we're a Republican or we're a Democrat or an independent, our single most important part of our jobs is making the right decision and the best decisions for the residents of Swatara Township. And I think if we can always keep that to the forefront of our minds when we come to this meeting, I think the party politics, the infighting, the snide remarks, and trying to do the right thing all the time will be there, and it'll be beneficial, and the public will see it. So I'll leave you with that. And again, thank you for coming out, and have a good night. Oh, I won't get to say have a wonderful Easter as well, because I won't see you till after Easter. So everyone, make sure you have a wonderful Easter. Eat a lot of food, gain a lot of weight, eat a lot of chocolate. Thank you.
All right, so first I want to start by thanking our first responders. This meeting and last month's meeting, we heard the yearly reports, the annual reports for police and for fire. So I just again want to extend my thanks and gratitude to everyone that serves in those capacity to keep us safe and responds when, you know, not everyone has a position where you have to run towards danger. So I just want to say thank you. And I'm just going to highlight some events that we have going on again. I know everyone did, but I'll do it again just briefly. We have the egg hunt this Saturday, the 12th, from 11 to 12:30. We are going to go ahead and move that indoors, just so that everyone that's watching this can know. We'll get that up on our Facebook page and website, because even if it'll be here at the Township Building, 599 Eisenhower Boulevard. But even if it rains one of those days, the field's not going to be in any condition because of the temperature. And that field, it takes a while for it to dry out anyway. So the egg hunt will be indoors. Maybe some year we'll get to have it outside again. The last 2, we haven't been so successful with that. April 19th from 9:30 to 11, we have the Earth Day cleanup. The location will be announced by Monday of next week, so that, you know, people have an opportunity to come out and help clean up the area that's selected. Obviously, we have the Senior Resource Fair on the 23rd from 10 to 1 at the LCBC Church. If you're able to attend any of these events, please do so. We also have next month, which Commissioner Zubak had asked about what the date was going to be. May 14th, we're going to have the Richard H. Bowder Student Government Day. So we'll have students with us again for our stormwater and commissioners meeting. Details for that are still being worked out. We have a month to get that all ironed out, but that's going to be the day
Great, thank you.
that they're here. Yep. And with that, I just want to say happy Easter and Passover to everyone. Thank you to everyone that takes the time to watch these meetings. Thank you to you guys who stick through these. We're doing good. This is a quick one for us. And I hope everyone that's here gets home safe. I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned at 9:33 p.m.